Let's see. I think I'm going to put this up on here.
I'm just laughing at us getting adjusted and stuff.
Yeah, because when I was... If we touch the table,
it moves,
isolates it a little bit.
Yeah, we're getting our bearings. Always a work in progress.
Yes. All right. Welcome to the Couples Take On. I'm Austin.
I'm Shelley.
Today we're going to do some podcasts and we're going to run them straight through. So we're filming on Twitch at the same time. We first live over there. And we got 4 different podcasts today. So the first podcast today, we're going to talk about navigating email trauma. And so if you've lived through the last few years of what went on worldwide, you will know that there were lots of emails from every place you've ever signed up for, just inundating your box with their, newest policies or guidelines or whatever. Without further ado. So Shelley, what do you think about emails?
Okay, so let me talk about this.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Email and email trauma.
There.
I noticed that for myself, probably 20 years ago, I actually worked for an email marketing firm. And so at the time, I didn't realize how much giving your email away and then how much bombardment of essentially junk mail is what it is. So I started a new email when you and I met, and I changed my name to be his last name because I was totally in love and we were engaged. And I'm I'm going to create an email that has his last name.
And that was...
So that'd be 2010.
Yeah, 14.
I figured, great, I get to start over with my email. All the other stuff that was in my old account, that represented my old version of myself. Great. Except for it really didn't, because I still took a lot of those shadows and a lot of those habits and some of the subconscious program within email, and I started getting bombarded. I just started getting way too many. And instead of unsubscribing, because sometimes in my old version of myself, I couldn't tell someone no. So if it's here, sign up for our email, I felt obligated to sign up for the email. And then the email would come in and I never would unsubscribe. Fast forward 14 years later, and those sort of habits and behaviors have continued. And I think my email that has your last name now has 270,000 messages. I'm not exaggerating, 270,000. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. And I have started to go through and delete some of them. But I didn't even tell you this because you get mad when I delete them because you're just that's a waste of time. Just file it away as junk.
Just pay money and...
What's happening is I went to go unsubscribe to some of the services and it really was bouncing back saying that email doesn't exist. Meaning the unsubscribe button to unsubscribe from the email, they're now denying it even exists. I'm okay, so email just has become this entirely other world that can take over digitally. And so then I have found myself in the past not wanting to check any messages anywhere on my phone, my text messages, on other applications, other email accounts that I have. I noticed that it carried over when I was working, in that I would dread going to my email because I would have so many messages and stuff like that. And so I think that there's a big combination of things going on. We're just bombarded with information at all times. And so for me, I get ungrounded at times because I feel like I have to take care of this immediately. I need to respond immediately. I need to do something, because that was my background working in the hospital, working in the ER, working in bed control and management, and everything was an emergency at all times. And so I think some of those stories I've told myself and some of that programming I'm really working through, because now I'm in a place where it's not a life and death situation. The things that I am working on are in no way, shape, or form life or death. I do need to look at the email and respond appropriately when needed, but I also have had trauma around, have you ever gotten results via email that were not so great? It doesn't matter. People telling you things about yourself or about just whatever, and it's just jarring and shocking, and it made you take a real deep breath, maybe even lose your breath because it was just traumatizing. And so that's something that I'm actively working through in integrating the process to make myself feel good and not be afraid of email.
So we just set up for Shelley a new email account for her Twitch that she's going to be doing for the art endeavors. And so she has a clean slate with a new email. So
but that's great. But here's the thing. That's great when you have clean slates, but you still have to take care of how did you get there to begin with? Because you
Right.
can't just continue starting over. People do that for years and years. I mean, I
Well,
did. I
well,
married
well-
and divorced somebody a few times because I just figured let's just keep starting over. And now I realize, no, why don't I, talking me, deal with the things that are causing me this discomfort, causing my nervous system to be a little haywire, causing increased anxiety that isn't even my anxiety.
Yeah. What are you gonna do going forward? Are you gonna set up like email rules? Or are you gonna set up like? Are you gonna set up folders?
I'm just trying to get general support right now to see if other people have email trauma. I really would love to know if you have email trauma. So right now I'm just going through the email, organizing it, going through it, keeping what is aligned and getting rid of what is no longer aligned. That is at the moment my end goal at the moment with the email.
Let's see. Someone says they were having trouble hearing us.
Oh, okay.
So
Thanks for letting us know.
I was gonna see if I could get it. Can you hear now? Let us know.
Yeah, let us know. 'Cause I told him to go get the portable microphone. I did. I said, go get the portable microphone. And he was like, oh no, it's built in. It's beautiful. I'm like, okay, I trust you.
Oh, I thought I heard it when I started it on the... Oh, yeah, I can hear it. Okay, we can hear it now. Thank you. I think it just got stuck in the setting. Let's see. So now you're talking about managing email. Okay, good. Glad you can hear us.
Great.
Managing your email, set up rules, set up filters, right?
And so,
Go,
okay.
Wait, hold on. Check it. Make a time of day where you check stuff or triage it. Come into your email from a place of power and your own sovereignty of, oh, I'm going to the email because I need to look up something or I need to do something. Because you can easily get distracted. But the key is like, why are you opening your email? Are you trying to do something or are you ready to be bombarded? Because like sometimes as we've started our business, sometimes we're like, we don't want to send out emails, but emails are such a great way to market. And we're like, are you trying to find the balance between, spamming somebody and like actually sending them good info, especially for somebody who's dealt with email trauma of just it being completely overwhelming. So how are you healing from your email trauma and what are your next steps?
I'm figuring out what feels comfortable to my nervous system right now because ultimately when you have a resistance to something, that is something deep inside of you that you're not ready to look into, whatever it could be. So in this case, it's some email. And so I am doing very small steps at the moment until I feel comfortable and good. So here's what's crazy because I'm working in an office right now and they get crazy amounts of email. I'm still a little bit hesitant and scared in the office with that email. And it's the system. It's the Google system. It's something that I never worked with before. I mean, I worked 18 years at the same employer. I worked 18 years in a hospital, same employer. We were Microsoft, etc. And so some of the things that I'm working through is expanding my nervous system to working on other platforms, working with other applications, working with technology in a way that I feel comfortable with. And so I can also help others because I recognize I'm 49. So I'm a Gen X. So I'm very much on the cusp of millennial who was all digital. And then of course Gen X when we had the internet introduced to us, AOL.com. I don't fall into it and feel as natural as some people where you just give them a device and they figured it out in a few minutes. That is not my story at all. And so I'm here to just demonstrate that you can do it at any age. You can do it in the way that you feel comfortable, but it's something within your system that you have to look into and recognize where is your safety. And you are safe. You are safe in all these respects because that includes when you get bad news via email. It's just how do you process through it and not be afraid of it so then you don't get attracted, as I like to say, and don't move forward and look at your email later on down the road.
That's the fight,
Yes.
flight, freeze, or respond issue. So it's like shutting down. In the comments, Zeal says, been dealing with email since 13 years old. When did you first start email?
Email I started in 1993 via AOL, but...
So you're like 18?
I was 18, yeah. But I now see how it's utilized in a way that it wasn't, that I didn't grow up with. So it's that recalibrating the nervous system to know this is the form of communication because we've recognized in our business that most people trust email, and when it comes through, it's very important to have in your business. At least this is what the experts tell us. But the reality, because it's a validated way to get clients and whatnot, but we find that I'm old school. I like just going up and talking to people. I like the old
IRL.
school, like IRL or in the DMs or all of that. Sometimes the mass producing of the emails feels very informal and for me a little bit on the icky side. But that's me.
But like,
I'm having to work through it.
that might not be the same experience as other people have. They
In
might
fact,
actually
I would love
like
to
to
know.
get an
I would
email.
love to know, like exactly. Like I'd love to know the energetics of when you receive emails and the people that are super organized with their email and understand the importance of email. Because that's what working at this office, I'm realizing. Oh, they rely so heavily on email and these coding systems and all those. I've been in there like getting more acquainted and not so afraid of it because ultimately technology is a beautiful form of communication when it's done in a way that's not traumatizing. I mean, I have a great example. I went to sleep one night. So the hospital I worked at, in my opinion, did not have great communication, okay? But we had a texting system that was HIPAA compliant and whatnot. But I remember I went to sleep, and this is all during the pandemic, and I woke up 4 hours later to 72 fucking messages on this app, and I just was like, this is insane. And it was literally like all 10 people saying the exact same thing. And I was like, you guys don't all have to comment. Like, we don't have to have everybody's opinions. But this is what I'm talking about that can cause like technology trauma, email trauma, not wanting to sign on or even be a part of anything. And I recognize this. I'm working through it. and I'm sure others are. And I'm just grateful that I don't have to be so anxious to get on there and take care of it all. Because I recognize when I get in the grind mode of like, I just need to get it done, then that's where a lot of these like shadows and a lot of these little icks that I have come online. And then I literally pause or I get stuck and I don't want to move forward.
In the chat, somebody says they would love to have more IRL meetings, which is something we're trying to do. I'm a late millennial. I've dealt with tech most of my life. We got AOL when we were kids in like the early 90s. It's like 10, right? But what does email look like now?
Yeah.
What did it look like then? Yeah, it was like traumatic for Shelley, but for me, not so much. It's just I feel a little inundated. But I've set up other accounts for certain things, so I look for certain emails that I like to receive from certain different email addresses. That way I have a system so I can feel safe with going through email. Now, Shelley and I created a content creators group bridging all the generations and eras because there's people that have grown up with tech in their hand. And then there's some of our clients are baby boomer and Gen X and silent generation, getting them started with tech. They already have a business going. Now it's like pivoting. And then some of the younger kids and generations, they want to be helpful and they want to be seen and heard. And it's like bridging the gap between the two so everybody's talking again.
Sometimes I like being around the younger generations when they're using the tech because they use it in ways that I like to be in those energetics and learn, because it's not the way that I've learned, because I've learned from a state of fear at times with technology, and I don't need to be in fear. I need to be in receiving, and I need to be allowing myself to feel out my nervous system to either embrace it or to literally say, I don't like it, but to have a reason why I don't like it. Because do you ever hear a lot of times, I just don't like it, but they cannot articulate to themselves or to anyone why it is they don't like something.
Is that their truth or is that someone else's story?
Exactly.
So I think we've pretty much covered our email podcast. Is there do you have any final thoughts? In the Twitch, there's a few people that are here. They want some tarot card readings. It looks like, I think they joined after we did.
They did.
Okay, I think they did.
No,
so
they
maybe
figured
this is
after each segue we would do
so I'm going to go get the charger for the laptop. You could do a reading. I'll turn off that other one.
Okay.
And we'll get this flow. Zeal asked first, and then Blinu Girl asked second.
Okay.
So, okay.
Okay, I'm reading from what is called the moon deck because the new moon will be here in 2 days. I don't know